Hello, everyone, and welcome to Minds Matter DC. I'm Portia Johnson. I am the executive director for Black Girl Health Foundation. I'm so happy to be able to do this again with Howard University. Again, welcome to Minds Matter DC. This is our second annual event. I would like to thank Howard University. I would like to thank the Lewis Stokes Health and Sciences Library. I would also like to thank the National Library of Medicine, the National Network of Library of Medicine, and the National Institutes of Health and the All of Us Research Program for helping us make this happen for the second time in a row. Minds Matter is dedicated to improving the mental health of Black women and girls. We hope that this event will help give you the resources that you need and the motivation that you need to help promote mental stability. We have some amazing speakers from the DMV, DC area.
Hello. I am Dr. Marcea B. Whitaker, and I am so happy to be here to share with you. I am a physician, I am a life coach, I am an author, and also a speaker. And I am the CEO of Info Bloom Health and Life Coaching and the founder of Women Ready to Move Academy, where I work with professional women who are trapped in their personal prison, and I help them to discover who they are, to decide what they want, and then to deliver on their destiny. And so today, we are going to make meaningful changes that last. If you're ready, I want you to say, I am ready. Say, I'm ready. Say, I am ready. And so I'm going to ask for slide number 1. And also, you can go get your notebook because we're going to take some notes today, okay? So, the first slide, please. Thank you. So, it's making meaningful changes that last. All right, next slide, please. And have you ever tried to make change that it didn't quite stick? Maybe it was your morning routine, right? Or maybe it was working out or, eating better, or maybe the number of hours that you slept. And so I want you just to write down those things that came to mind when I said that, those changes that you tried to make, but it just didn't quite stick. And who also has made some New Year's resolutions, right? And my question is, are they working? Maybe you decided you were going to lose 20 pounds this year. You joined the gym, right? You bought that Peloton that finally came. You got some new workout clothes. You bought that high-end blender, that protein powder, and then you set your alarm for 5 a.m. And then what happened? Right? What happened? Right? So next slide, please. But New Year's resolutions don't work, right? They usually trail off after a certain point, right? Maybe in February, right about now, right? Do you know how many people make New Year's resolutions? All right, they make 188 million people make New Year's resolutions. And what percentage of those individuals fail? 80%. 80% based on a report from US News and World Report. And how many years have you had the same resolution? That's when you know that there is a problem. You said you wanted to lose weight, right? Get your sexy back, as we may say, right? We ask, we're trying to get debt free. Maybe it's finding a new career. But why don't they work? And so one of the things is that big drastic changes don't stick. I remember I want to do a 5K, and I did one in Delaware, and I ran the whole way, even though I hadn't trained enough. By the time I got to the end of that time period of that race, I was completely wiped out. I went straight for those pretzels, and I did not get back on to the course for months because it was too much. Okay. The second reason New Year's resolutions don't work is that our goals are frequently not connected to something that's meaningful. We may want a certain car, right? We may want to live in a certain neighborhood, but what that is connected to is not meaningful enough to keep us motivated in that space. And then the last one is that we create what we want from shoulds, right? Or coulds or must haves or have tos, right? I should get my taxes done before April 15th, right? I should exercise. I have to pass that certification test. But the thing that we need to focus on is how do you make that change? And one of the things I did was I started vision boarding, but I did it from the inside out. And I've accomplished more in the last 2 years than I have in the past 20. And I am here today to share some of that process with you. Next slide. So the problem is that we have been playing the wrong game. I want you to write that down. Say, I've been playing the wrong game. And you're always winning whatever game you are playing. And let me tell you what that means. Let's say you get to work late every day. That means you are playing the I get to work late game. Or back to that tax example. If you wait too late to file your taxes every year, you're playing the I wait too late to file my taxes game, and you're winning it. Maybe it's those projects at work and you end up staying up late every time and you feel like that stress pushes you to getting the project done. But that's the game you're playing. Next slide, please. Some of us have been playing Simon Says. Some of us have been playing Mother May I for far too long. We're looking for other people's approval, waiting for permission, looking for validation, right? And some of us who have been struggling with making meaningful change have been playing this game. Pin the tail on the donkey. Who remembers that game, right? And so I want to just remind you, you remember you would get blindfolded, you would get spun around, and then you would work towards pinning the tail on the donkey with this pin. And so I want to walk through this again using the mindset that we've been playing the wrong game. So when you get blindfolded, you what? You cannot see. Your vision is compromised. And so I want you to write down in that when you're blindfolded, you have no vision or you have no dream. The second, yes, Deja, she says, I feel that comes with the culture to look for validation. Absolutely, absolutely, right? So the second part of that game is that you get spun around. And when we get spun around in the world, our sense of our environment is distorted. We become disoriented and you don't know where you are and you're relying on others to lead you. How many of us have been relying on other people to chart our course for us? These individuals are sometimes laughing at us. They are watching, but they are not helping. Thank you, Imani. She says, I never thought of it like this. Woo, wish I had known this earlier. Yes. And then the third part of this game, this game is that the target is the tail of a donkey and you're trying to stick it with a pin. Who knows what happens when you stand behind a donkey, right? Somebody put that in the chat. What happens when you stand behind a donkey? You are in harm's way. They kick, right? And so who is deciding the target for your life? I remember when I was a child. You remember those birthday parties where your parents just put you out in the garage, right? My sister had one of those birthday parties, and one of her friends, they were playing, pin the tail on the donkey, right? And so this particular friend of my sister's, she ended up hitting her teeth on the wall. She ran into the wall and she broke her tooth. And lucky for her, my dad was a dentist, and he, scooped her up, took her to the dentist office with her parent, and she got her fixed up. And but the good news for you is that I got you here. I'm the dentist today, and I'm going to help fix you up. So let's go to next slide, please. So how do we change the game? And you change the game by doing four things. The first thing is that you implement the new rule, where change is based on your why and not your what. Okay, I want you to write that down. The change is based on your why and not your what. Okay, so I'm going to give you the example in the legal realm. Let's say I kill someone, right? When my lawyer starts to defend me, they're going to want to know why I did it. And there's a difference in my sentence if I did it by accident or if it was premeditated. Your why matters. Whether it's weight loss, whether it's getting a new career, whether it's whatever it is, the reason why you do something is going to matter. The second the second way that you change the game is that you play what I call smarter. And that SMART stands for the SMART goals. It's those goals that are specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're realistic, and they're time specific. We start off with those New Year's resolutions with, I want to lose weight. That is so broad. And so what happens is that we fail. But when you say, I want to lose 10 pounds in 60 days, that gives you a focus and it makes it a smarter goal. Okay? The third thing that you need to do is to have a strategy and have a plan. So if we're talking about the losing the weight, the plan is maybe I am going to walk 20 minutes on the treadmill, not 3 times a week. I'm going to actually say the days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then I'm going to say when. Okay, I'm a morning person, or I want to be a morning person. So I'm going to say I'm going to work out at 7 a.m. And then I'm going to put in some safeguards. I'm going to lay my clothes out the night before, and I'm going to add in some accountability. I'm going to tell my best friend, my spouse, my whatever. Thank you. Kayla says, what is your why? Yes. And we're going to stay accountable. And then the last thing is that we're going to deal with consistent small changes that are going to create a long-term success. Okay, next slide. This is one of my favorite slides. This is the importance of small steps. And we're all trying to get up the ladder, to get to the top of that ladder. And we want to start off with big change because we're thinking if we make a big change, then we're going to get to our goal faster. But that's not how it works. Our bodies reject big change. And so we start with small changes, changes that we may not even see, but it's part of the strategy. Okay, so next slide, please. So I'm going to have you write down what is it that you want? And if somebody could put that in the chat, that would be great. But if you're home, I want you to put that on your piece of paper. What do you want? And as I coach professional women who are stuck, who are trapped, it's usually around, maybe it's a job or it's a relationship or a health concern. But we have to ask ourselves then, why? And I'm going to use the example of someone who wants a new job, okay? And what they're going to tell me is that they want financial security. And their why is that we have to discover that core, which is the financial security. And it's that thing that's going to motivate you, that's going to drive your actions, the thing that's going to make your goals stick. And so we're going to use that, whatever you wrote down. I want you to go to the next slide, please. We're going to write your personal mission statement based off of your why. And so we're going to use the financial security example. And so we're going to say, I want, and for this example, I'm going to say financial security. But then the next question is, so I can blank. And so for this example, I'm going to say, I want financial security so that I can stop stressing out over money. But there's something else underneath of that. So we're going to ask ourselves, so I can what? Okay, so I can buy what my kids need. So I can keep a roof over my head. And then I'm going to ask again, so you can what? So that I can leave a legacy. And so when I am looking for that job, if I'm now thinking that this is the pathway for me to leave a legacy, that is going to motivate me. That is going to drive my action. And that is going to help make this goal stick. And so now you figure out what it is that you have to do next in order to get there. Next slide, please. And so now as we could do an overview of how to make meaningful changes last, we're going to look at these separately. If you could blow that up, please, so that we can see that at home. Excellent. Thank you. So the first thing is that you have to know your why. You have to ask those questions. So I can what? So I can. And usually there are other layers. There's layers of things, and the reasoning is buried. And so, but once we dive deeper, we'll be able to figure out what our why is. The second is that you do your personal mission statement, because that helps to change the game. You can now decide that you're no longer asking for permission. You're no longer asking for validation, that you know what you want, and you can now make the next step of figuring out what your strategy will be. The next step is to be strategic. Now that you have the ending of what you want, there now are steps in order to get there. If your goal is to be healthy, we're talking about being healthy from a physical perspective. We're talking about being healthy from a food perspective, also being healthy from a spiritual perspective and a mental perspective. There are things that you can do. Pick 3 things, the top 3 things in each of those categories that's going to help you get to your next level. And then the next is to make small goals that you actually will achieve. We're not looking to get world peace today, but you can pick up the phone and call that person that you have that odd relationship with, that you're trying to bridge the gap. You can send a card through the mail. You can do some things that are going to build the bridge from where you are to where you want to be. And finally, we all need accountability. We all need someone checking us. We all need someone to say, just to give us an atta girl from time to time, whether that is therapy, whether that's an accountability partner, whether that is hiring a coach, whether it is getting into some other groups, whether it's just saying what your goals are for others to be able to walk alongside of you. Remember, everyone is not going to be in your corner, but you can always seek others out. You can seek out those groups. When you are the smartest in the room, that's a sign that you need to find another room. All right, doesn't mean you cut people off, but you have to get into a place where you're going to be nurtured, where you're going to be encouraged, where someone's going to come up with an idea that you didn't have. And I love to say, in order to get someplace you haven't been before, You have to do some things that you have never done before. And so that's how we're going to make meaningful changes last. And so if you are ready to make meaningful changes last, I want you to put me in the chat. Say me, Dr. Marcea. I am ready. And so with that, I want to thank you. Yes, accountability, Montrella says, is critical. That's the last piece. I am Dr. Marcea B. Whitaker, and I help professional women break out of their personal prison so they can discover who they are, decide what they want, and then deliver on their destiny. And so you can find me at drmarceabspeaks.com. I also have a free gift I would love to give to you. Go to drmarceafreegift.com. It's about decision making. You can also find me at drmarcea.com. With that, thank you so much, and I turn it back over to Portia. Thank you for the time today. And you're on mute.
I tell everybody else not to do that, and I'm doing it myself. But in order to get someplace that you've never been before, you have to do some things you've never done. And that was just that is such a powerful, it's just such a powerful statement, and for us all to kind of like recognize and meditate on. So in figuring out where we want to be and what we have to do. And sometimes you got to make those sacrifices and just do it. So I love that. Very powerful messages, very powerful, very profound.
Thank you.
Dr. Whitaker, thank you so much for being with us and supporting our mission. Until next time, thank you.
All right, thank you. Take care.